There's a diner between Carson City and Reno called the Lone Star Diner. However, for safety reasons, we should give it another name. Why am I working at this diner? Well, life threw me a curveball. Normally when you're still at a diner after college, especially in the middle of nowhere, things aren't gonna too great. But why this diner? Why Lone Star? Let me explain. Out of all the diners around, Lone Star pays very well. Most other places barely scrape by minimum wage, but Lone Star hands out $50 an hour like it's candy on Halloween. And do you know why? Because of one guy. On my first day here, I realized this place doesn't play by normal rules. Some areas have to be spotless while others don't matter. Serve customers but not too fast. They're here to be alone, ironically enough. The cooks had their own rules too. No showing off your cooking abilities here. Just make decent food. Nothing too fancy though. I adhered to these rules diligently until I noticed that one customer who always sat in the corner, we were not supposed to serve him, ever. My boss made it very clear, or else was implied with the way she squeezed my arm. She warned me against talking to him, even taking his order. But when my boss called in sick one day and he showed up again, I couldn't help asking why he was here. Big mistake. As it turns out, he's not just any customer. He's involved with some weird government thing. They call him the Wandering Man, and for years he's been causing strange things to happen. He's like someone from another world, and no one wants to mess with him in case it isn't safe. One day, a new guy showed up named Malcolm. He was eager to help out, but I had to fill him in on the Wandering Man. Don't serve him, don't talk to him. But Malcolm slipped up one day, tried to take the Wandering Man's order, and they both disappeared. After that, things got worse. There were always agents around now, the same ones who'd been watching their suspect, which made the diner feel like a zoo. And then one night, after all this, the Wandering Man came up to me himself. He said he liked my curiosity and promised to come back with a new game next time. But before he left me alone at last, gruesome gift presently. I'm trapped here and aware no place is secure. The heavens are crowded with stars. Anyone can drop down at any time. My brother always ate alone upstairs, and nobody could watch him. It was similar to our father going to work and mother cooking dinner every evening, only that Maddie preferred to have his food served in his room instead of joining us at the table. Before carrying upstairs, Mom put a lot of food on his plate. One day after my birthday, she carried a huge plate full of hamburgers, chicken pieces, corn dogs, etc. So she said that he wasn't fine, hence piled up his plate with even more food. I got angry. Maddie had not even wished me happy birthday, and he hadn't come outside from his room for the whole day. He was older than I was, and sometimes we had disagreements. Why does Maddie need so much food? What if I am still hungry? Why can't he eat with us? I asked my father. Dad told me that Maddie was self-conscious, experiencing some challenging transformations. He asked me to be patient with him and understand what he was going through. However, that made me annoyed. Maddie always seemed to get special treatment, and it just didn't work for me. Later, when Mother went out to do some shopping, I tried to lure out Maddie from his room so that we could play with my friends. However, he did not respond. So I planned to trick him, and to pretend as though we were having dinner together with my friends. I invited them over. After that, we snuck up on him upstairs as Mom was taking Maddie's food upstairs. But on opening his door, the smell was terrible on us. This place was messy. Everything was thrown everywhere in his room. Food littered the floor, toys were broken, and there was a strange stain on his bed. It looked horrible. Just before we left, something grabbed one of my friends under the bed. We yelled for help while Dad came running from his living room where he had been watching TV. He saved us, but what I saw kept playing back in my mind like a video recording. I went to see a specialist years after because nightmares about this day kept haunting me at night. During hypnosis, everything came back to me. It turned out that my brother had abducted one of my buddies and confined him within the four walls of his bedroom. It is impossible for me to believe. That friend underwent such pain, yet I have no memory of it at all. My mother ignored me after I tried to talk to her. This was when I found out that my parents had lied to me all those years ago. I have to face my mother about what happened. Perhaps I will stop being angry and hating for a long time. For 3 whole years, Mr. Fcal has been my hairdresser. Ever since I came into the city, he is an old man, maybe around 50 or so, with a clear northern demeanor about him. Whether he comes from New York Maine or the Great Lakes area of unknown origin, as I've never bothered to ask. Physically, he's rather thin and weighs maybe 120 pounds, but what he lacks in size, he makes up for in his abilities. When it comes to my hair, Mr. Fcal sure knows how to mold it, see the sides a little bit and leave some length on top for styling, plus make the line around the ear accurate always. In case I had grown less hair on my face, then maybe you could be my barber too. And guess what? It's all free. Now, you might frown at such generosity, and you would be right because there is more than meets the eye here. It all began with an interview for the city's maintenance and custodial department offices. I was determined to look good, so I had to make sure that I was well dressed. However, my financial situation did not allow me to afford a haircut at high cost. By chance, this led me to Fcal's Hair and Beards on the next block from my house. Amongst his piles of swept hair, Mr. Fcal greeted me with a broad smile on his face. He asked several queries about my hair preferences and grooming habits before setting into work, giving me a professional haircut as never seen before. When it came time for payment, he simply waved it off, claiming that I should just pay whatever amount I could afford. The deal seemed fair enough thus. When leaving from his shop, I felt like $1 million and walked with my head held high due to the fresh cut made over. I can remember it clearly. I was a regular at Mr. Fcal's shop for a long time, waiting with enthusiasm for our conversations and my hair to be cut after every 2 months. Every time, I used to give him huge tips because of his great services and his way of relating with customers. It didn't take long for us to become good friends, as we had the same taste in sports, movies, and classic rock that solidified our bond. Life became perfect until an odd incident happened one day. It was during one of the routine haircuts that I found Mr. Fcal off guard, chewing strands from the floor like a gourmet cuisine. That shocking act made me recoil in horror from him as he tried to explain himself desperately. Even though he tried hard to make sense of his conduct, it was hard not to think about the disturbing image stuck in my mind. His habits of eating hair grew into my sleep such that I woke up with cold sweats, seemingly haunted by invisible demons. However, I could not help but notice any person who may have smelled or touched my hair, or even cut them without any permission on my side since then. Despite all the measures taken, including reinforcement of security at home, calling upon law enforcement officers, among others, the nightmare persisted. Then, one fateful morning, I woke up and saw myself bald-headed without even a single strand of hair visible on it. I came back to the police, once again, curiously pleading with them to investigate Mr. Fcal and his strange little shop, but I was ignored. My pleas were met with doubt and dismissive comments about an alleged midnight barber. I was frustrated by the police officer's response, and I lost all trust in their ability to do justice to me. They put me in a puzzle of questions that seemed unanswerable. Now, as I sit amidst the ruins of my broken confidence and stolen hair thinking about what next step to take, it comes into my mind. What secrets hides behind those walls of Mr. Fcal? In trying to find out the truth, how far am I willing to go? Even if this could mean facing up with terrors hiding in blackness, as time unfolds itself for me through this twisted mesh of lies that threatens my entire existence.